And I'll say good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. A quick bit of housekeeping before we get started. Please mute yourself so that extraneous noise in your space doesn't interfere with today's program and other people's experience. You can unmute when Patty opens things up for discussion, or if you have questions or comments, and you can do that by holding down your space bar while you speak, or then turning it, taking mute off when Patty opens up the forum for discussion. I, as I said, am the adult program coordinator at the North Suburban YMCA, and in that role, I bring a variety of programs to adults in our community, including social networking opportunities, a caregiver support group, brain games, and the adult education series, which you are attending today. It is my pleasure to welcome you to Self-Care Strategies, hosted by Patty Conway, who's an RN. Patty has asked that you have hand cream or lotion handy, plus cotton gloves or socks, so if you don't have them, please feel free to go get them and then bring them back to use during today's program. Patty is a registered nurse with 35 years of nursing experience. She is an elder care advocate and uses her extensive nursing knowledge to compassionately and confidently guide elders in discovering solutions to the difficult decisions and transitions they face in our complicated world. Patty's belief is that self-care boosts well-being, and I agree. So, self-care will be the objective as Patty discusses simple strategies and practices to enhance your well-being. Today's focus will be showing our hands some TLC, a little thanks for all the work that they do. Today's program is being recorded and will be available on the North Suburban YMCA website as a podcast on the Adult Education Series page. However, I am excited to tell you that over the next month or so, that's going to change. The Adult Education Series is changing its name to the YMCA Education Series, which will be called YES. Through YES, we will be bringing in more programming to serve not only adults, but people of every age. We will be hosting a wider variety of educational opportunities, including social justice and equity programs, options for youth and young adults, intergenerational programs, and educational forums to provide more community connections and collaboration. All of these programs will continue to be free and open to the public. And as a 501c3 charity, we do rely on fundraising to help us serve the community. If you enjoyed today's presentation and want to help us continue to offer free programs like this, we welcome your donations to the North Suburban YMCA. You can visit our website at www.nsymca.org to donate and see all that we're doing and planning. Patty's program today will last about an hour, depending on how many people are here, and she'll take you through some simple stretches and exercises to promote strength and flexibility, giving yourself a gentle moisturizing hand massage while you reflect on the labor of love that your hands have provided and how they've benefited others. Again, thank you for joining us today, and a special thank you to Patty for your time and effort in bringing us today's presentation. Patty, please take it from here.
All right, thank you. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our self-care circle of sharing and caring, with a focus on paying some attention to our hands. Our hands toil all day in one capacity or another, and we're just not very mindful of it. But there are some things we can do to keep our mobility and our strength and flexibility what it needs to be, and to reduce some of the natural tightness and aches and pains we encounter as we age. So one of the things in today's beautiful winterscape, which we're all part of, has lent itself so nicely to our little snuggle up here for a cup of something warm. I hope everybody has a little something that they can sip on maybe. And then I have a little blanket in my lap too, in case it's chilly, but just a little something to comfort ourselves with and move forward. But one of the key things is in skin integrity, which is part of the essential care of our hands. Skin integrity is reliant on our hydration and adequately hydrating ourselves. As we age, it's something that people just naturally taper off on. It becomes more challenging for a number of reasons for people to get the adequate amount of hydration they need, but it's essential. We dry out, and it's unfortunate, but the focus for hydration typically is at the forefront of people's thoughts when we have hotter temperatures, when we're out in the heat and there's sunshine. But quite honestly, winter is far more drying, and we all experience more dry and brittle skin and cracking of our, knuckles and stuff while the winter months. But, it's colder, drier air. We've got heating systems running at various capacities, and all of those contribute to drying out the air, which in essence draws from the moisture in our skin and dries out our skin. So, one of the key things is trying to stay hydrated. Make certain that and hydration is a funny thing because people, I'm going to take a sip. People feel like they have X amount of beverages a day, maybe 3 or 4. And they're like, oh, I'm adequately hydrated. Not so if those 3 or 4 drinks are all primarily or heavily caffeinated. Caffeination dehydrates our skin. So really water is the best beverage for hydration. And I happen to love water, so that works well for me. But, tea-based or decaffeinated would be your next best. Limit the overly sugared and the highly caffeinated. So in looking at our skin integrity and hydration, the other thing we want to be mindful of in our hands is, our tender spots, the spots that get already muddled up and, our cuticles, the edges of our nails, all of that. Those are areas that can easily get dried out and brittle, and then we pick or play with them, or they get caught on something, and then all of a sudden we have a little spot that we can introduce some bacteria and infection in, and we want to avoid that. So kind of keeping things soft and supple, trimmed. Monitor for any signs of, if you have a red spot that's getting redder or hot, or it's extending up your hand or across, those are symptoms that something would need to be looked at. Skin thins as we age, and it becomes more easily torn, and keeping it supple prevents some of that damage as well. We are going to I'm going to lead everyone in a couple of simple little exercises, and then we're going to massage our hands and moisturize. And then after I finish that portion, and then we're going to unmute and we can share some stories of the good works our hands have contributed to. So I'm going to start. I have to position my camera a little differently to focus. But so first, everybody just like a few good open and close, fanfare, just really slow. One thing that I encourage all of my clients and patients to work with is meet yourself where you're at. Know what your starting point is. If you're very supple, great. Then, have at it. If your hands are, affected by arthritis or any other limiting, mobility limiting process, then just do the best you can. Any kind of movement, any kind of extension and fisting is beneficial. It floods the joints with every time we tighten, every time we make things fist-like, and then we release, there's new fluid we're releasing, and so it helps lubricate and keep things moving. So that's one, just a few good, like, hi, hi hands. And then we're going to just intertwine them, and we're going to just reverse and stretch forward a little. Everybody just, stretch forward. And then when you're stretched forward, just kind of gently move through one wrist more than the other, and then back to center, and then lead with the other wrist. Our wrists are so important too. And then we're going to just pull back and release. We'll just do a little more. Okay. Our wrists are so important too for our health, our hand health. And I know, all kinds of carpal tunnel issues can play in there, or ganglions, but if we kind of keep our wrists supple, it helps with our hand mobility as well. So like rotating our wrists, and I often I'll steady one wrist, one forearm. I'll just grip my forearm and I just rotate my wrist in each direction. And then that open, close, open, close. And we'll do the other. Create some friction and heat. And then rotate one direction, rotate in the other. Okay. So, we're just going to go up overhead again. One more big stretch up. Okay, and then down. So, and everybody, you know what? We're wired that one side works more naturally than the other. So, like our grip is stronger in either our right hand or our left hand. We don't have the same equal strength on both sides. Just be mindful of those things and play them into what you need, where you need to build it up. There are some simple, and I'm not going to be able to angle so well for this, but resistance exercises where you spread your hands wide. And let's see if I can do this. Yeah. Still, sorry. All right. So like my hands were flat on my thighs, let's say, but you spread your hands wide, put them on your thighs, and then just push in. Just that extra, that extra little resistance. It builds up all the little tiny muscles and helps. So a few of those, just press against, open and close, press against. That helps with strength building as well. One of the things people often complain of is the grip. That grip, I know my grip has changed dramatically. I'm not able to. So I do strongly encourage people to get some kind of a gripper or a device that helps. Those rubberized things help a great deal, but if not, find something around the house that you can use, a dish towel or another kind of weavy, something that's got some grip to it and some fibers that you can use. And I'm sure everybody already knows the big tricks to opening a jar, hitting your palm against the bottom of it to shift that weight of the vacuum seal, or tapping the edges before trying to open something. All right, I think we're gonna just go ahead and move into the massaging. And so we'll just start with whatever your most natural hand is. And we're going to start knuckle and work up. And we're just going to take the other hand and primarily our thumb at first. And we're going to work from the base knuckle on up, just slow, steady circles. Okay. And then all the way around the nail bed and across the nail, and then start back, move up, and it helps increase a solicitor. I don't know if you can hear my phone ringing in the background. I'm not, yeah. And so do that on the thumb for a couple minutes, and then we're just gonna, the fold of our fingers, we'll just massage a little bit there as we move up to our index finger. And then I'll do this way. Yeah, just say, start at our knuckle base, work our way up, just slow, round, yeah. right up, massage, create some heat, increases circulation. And then we're just going to go through each digit that same way, starting at the knuckle and working up. And then we'll do the back of our hand and the palm of our hand after we do all the digits. But just through the knuckle joints on both sides and up. Just really, really, really just like pay attention to giving them a little extra love and helping them out a little bit. So to each of those, this is a great, like, you know, if you can incorporate it throughout the day, it's really good. But if not, if at the start of the day, before you start to use your hands, you give them a little TLC, just makes everything a little better. And then certainly if you can, you know, designate a little time at the end of the day. So I'm going to switch to my other now and start that one. And if while doing the massage, the other hand starts to tighten, because it does, you know, sometimes I just take a break and you have to open and close that, or just like knuckle the palm. But yeah, you know, you're working aggressively in a way that you're not necessarily using your hand muscles all the time anyhow. So I did want to mention that because I can feel it as well. But then the massage up the digits. And then we'll get, I do hope everybody has a little bit of a lotion or cream available. And before we start that, I'll just mention that lotions and creams, everybody has a preference to the weightedness of the cream that they like. Some like kind of a oilier or greasier one, some like a very light one. So find something that works for you and your skin integrity and your skin tone and all of that. Some are just too heavy or too light, and they don't do anything for you. So it's one of those things that everybody has to find. I do have, which I'll show in a few minutes, I have my little bin that has probably 8 or 10 different hand lotion brands and that in it, because depending on what my hand needs as a nurse, especially in the winter as a nurse, my knuckles and digits are often completely cracked and raw and bloody from all the hand washing. So I have to pay very special attention to what cream is going to help initiate the healing process. And then take it from there. Then, so it depends, but anyhow, during the day, lighter lotions and creams are usually your better something to have on hand. Every time you wash your hands, you should have a little lotion nearby, because it's best to moisturize right after washing. While there's still some moisture, we're looking to create an extra barrier to trap it and keep it in place. So while they're moist or freshly showered is when you should apply any kind of lotion or cream. So a lighter one typically works throughout the day, just because you're going to be washing your hands frequently, and it you know, it gets worn off anyhow. So you're going to be reapplying it. It's easier to reapply a light one throughout the day. And then at night, a heavier cream is, you know, a very nice thing to have. That's very restorative. It really helps nurture and replenish the nutrients that your skin needs overnight. So if you can use a heavier, goopier, just load it all up kind of cream on your hands at night, and then cover them with either socks or gloves. That would be a good thing as well. All right, so we are going to start with the little moisturizing part, and I have to stretch awkwardly to reach mine. So I'm going to just use a Aveeno right now. But I will say here's my little, I have Norwegian Formula Neutrogena. I have a Suave, I have a Jergens, I have another Aveeno, and I have a Nivea that I alternate throughout the day hours, pretty much those. And then at night, I do use this really heavy cream, which is just super, super moisturizing and nutrient-based. So it helps. All right, so I'm going to just get, if everybody wants to get their moisturizer or lotion handy, I am going to adjust my seating a little. Readjust my camera. So it's really going to focus. Yeah, the lighting is so, okay, sorry. But I'm going to put a dab of cream on, and we're gonna just, you can just start out small, just taking a little dab will do. Okay, and I'm gonna take some lotion on one finger, and I'm just gonna start in the center of the back of my hand. Okay, and I'm gonna do small circles and work my way, from small to bigger, but keep it a circular motion. It's not as, it doesn't stretch the skin in as many directions if we just keep a small, gentle, circular motion with the hand moisturizing. And then, we're going to just work from there. So we get the back of the hand all moisturized, slowly, it should just feel good. It should feel soothing and just tender, that you're spending a little extra time doing something nice. And then after we work then we'll move up to the knuckles. And then same thing, that same the same motion we used for initiating the massage portion, we're going to just work that up from knuckle base on up to the cuticle, and then work around the cuticle, soften those up, and then, and then just, apply more as needed. Like my hands are dry. They're like sponges when I put the lotion on. It just soaks it up. So I'm going to replenish and then continue to work through my knuckles and each digit. And I'm going to put just a little reserve on each knuckle, and then work up from there. I did not. I did remove jewelry, and I meant to suggest that at the start. So I hope everybody thought to do it on their own, but if they didn't, I hope the jewelry isn't cumbersome and bothersome with this. But so yeah, just a good Like this feels far better than it did. It's just, I mean, like that, be mindful of what it, you know, like I've worked on one hand, and this hand, my left hand feels significantly softer and more supple at this moment than my right does, because I haven't moisturized that yet. So now I'm going to move to that hand. Same with the same intent. I'm going to start with the small circles in the center of my back of hand. Just small, and work my way out, and then through. And then I'm going to put that little deposit at the base of my knuckles for each one. And then I'll start to work those. And in the moisturizing world, there are a few key points, and we don't stop moisturizing our hands right at our wrists. We extend that down a little bit, because otherwise that becomes really dry and brittle, and our hands are more supple, and that can be problematic. The same as with our faces. When we're moisturizing, we moisturize our ears, up above and around in our ears, because otherwise, you know, they take a beating in the wind and sun and stuff, and they're not as visible all the time, and so we're not really mindful of that. But so that and now that we've done those, you know, the moisturize of our digits and that, we're going to do just a little bit of palm work on, you know, our initial exercises. I did the knuckles and digits in the back of our hands and our wrists, but we're going to pay a little attention to our palms too. But it's better to do that after they have some moisture and they're more supple. And so I'm just gonna like circle my hands like I'm creating some heat, warm those babies up, and get that going. And then I'm gonna just make a fist with one hand, and I'm gonna just, like you're kneading bread, you know, you're just gonna take and start down at the base and work on up to the base of the knuckles again, or the pads of the knuckles, and do that a few different times from a few different angles. And just same thing, you can start with a small circular motion and build a bigger circle and widen out to the edges. And then just kind of grip one over the other. Just grip them, rub them together, and then we'll do the other one. And same thing, start in the center, work it, knead that bread, get that going, and then the extra little moisture. Yeah, all right. So that is the kind of the demonstration part. Good hydration, Karen. I like that. Yeah. So just, I hope everyone's hands are feeling a little looser and a little softer, a little more flexible. And, you know, I think we just don't pay enough attention to the simple things that, you know, our daily lives entail. We live really busy, frantic lives, even in amongst the pause of this pandemic. Everybody's life has got a lot going on, and we're not necessarily wired for that as humans. It's the world we live in, and it's what we do. And so I think slowing down and being mindful of things is, there's great value in that for a number of reasons. And it's really something we all need to do some hard work on practicing. And so with that, I'll reference just one of the things that leads me to this kind of instruction and moment is that many years ago, as a young mom of littles, I was involved in a women's circle. It just so happened that the circle was run by a nun, a really highly regarded nun in our community. I live near a mother house, and they're really a vibrant community of women. But anyhow, she, in her presentation this one day about just ordinary, everyday things we do, she referenced all of the tasks that young moms are tied into. And she correlated, as funny as this is going to sound, it was very resonating. She correlated birthing, which we all had experienced and were grateful for, with birthing the things we do for our families throughout the day and for others in the world. And just that shift in how she referenced it, like one of the examples she used was laundry. Like, you've birthed fresh clothes, you've clean garments for your family to wear and present themselves to the world in, and stuff like that. And it seems like a very silly reference, and at the time I was probably a little dismissive of it. But I've come back to it a number of times because it is very true. There are things that we do that we just don't realize the value in which we're doing them. And our hands have contributed to all sorts of wonderful things. And so I thought that we would allow some story sharing if anybody is up for telling a tale of, something that their hands have contributed to, or like we hear things all the time about, like, oh, you have a special touch, or your home decor shows your touch. We reference touch all the time, but I don't think we're really cognitive of the impact that has and how people do perceive our personal touch on things. And so our hands obviously are the base of our touch sense and the main focus. And so I just thought, if Karen, if you wanted to unmute people at this point, and if we have any stories of toils or great pleasures, artistic abilities, struggles, celebrations, whatever anybody wanted to share, I'm receptive to us, opening that part of the program. And if anybody has any questions for me or that, I'll take those as well at the end of the program. So
I did ask people to unmute by pushing the little ask to unmute. I can't actually unmute people.
Oh, okay.
But I can ask people to unmute.
Okay. All right. That's fine.
I have a little something to share just real quickly. I have a 23-year-old son, but when he was little, he had way too much energy and he didn't know how to house that. So he was always the kid getting in trouble from preschool all the way up. But one thing that really helped him is he would say, "Mom, could you do my joints?" And he had me push and pull his finger joints at night when he would go to bed to help him calm down. And I was thinking, as you were doing this, no one's ever done that for me. That felt really nice.
Yes.
That felt really good. And no
Yeah.
wonder that helped to calm him down when he was a little guy. He still to this day will do it to himself.
Oh, that's good.
So I
That's
thought that was
good.
kind of cool as you were saying that. I was like, oh, that was something I did with my hands to help him, not just with his hands, but his whole body. It just helped to calm him down.
Right. Our joints trap energy. And so like that for him, he was, that's really intuitive of a child. But, for him, his hands probably felt tight and tense. And by you doing that, Karen, helped release those pockets of trapped energy for him.
Well, yeah, who knew?
Right. You don't,
Yeah.
And that he can continue to do that. Similar in some regards is like people who chronically crack their knuckles. I like that he had you do, but that's the same thing. We're releasing some kind of a pent up energy.
Yeah.
And my lighting's really bad again.
No, you're fine.
So that's terrific. And so he knew, and his hands store energy for him, but he also knew that you could help release that. And
yeah.
That's terrific.
It was really neat.
Yeah, that's terrific. So, anybody else?
I'll share something.
Okay.
So this isn't like the way that people would think you use your hands, but when I was 40 years old, I had two young kids and I was going through a divorce and I was really devastated. And I wrote a book. And so I used my hands.
Yes.
And I was on my computer and it was very cathartic.
Yes.
And I also think I helped a lot. I have over the years helped a lot of people who have read the book who felt, were in similar situations. But in a more physical way, I just have memories. My kids at the time were 3 and 5. They're now 17 and 19.
Okay.
And just remember, like, I have visions as a younger mother sitting on the couch, scratching both their backs like this for hours.
Absolutely.
I think when my son comes home from college, they still do it. Once it's on one side, once it's on the other. And I think that, it feels good, but I think it's like as a mother, you make your kids feel so loved and so just by touching them and, they just feel that warmth.
They do. It's so soothing. It is so soothing. And just intrinsically, you do what you need to calm their moods. And Jackie, you're 100% correct in you used your hands to share your experiences and your insight and knowledge with others. And that is, those are things like, we use our hands all day for all kinds of things. We don't think of the residual or the repercussions and the benefits that others draw from that. But absolutely, your hands were 100% involved in your writing and your typing and getting that word out. That's a beautiful thing. Yeah, it's great.
And I think right now, a lot of people are missing that hand-to-hand contact, being able to touch someone else. A very good friend of mine is in the hospital and has been hospitalized or in a skilled nursing facility since October 3rd. She got sick. And I called her today. We were talking today and she said, Karen, I'm just not doing well. And I said, consider this my over-the-phone hug. And she said, I'll take it. And like, being able to hug someone, you can't do that right now. You can't get near anybody.
No, I am a hugger from head to toe. And I am so absolutely missing every single hug there is out there. And, the first one who gets the rock solid hug is going to be like, let me loose. No doubt about it. But it's terrible.
Yeah,
but,
it's really tough.
We do know touch is essential. Human touch is essential. And people respond and heal better when they have therapeutic touch. You know, like Reiki prayer is a very healing. Any kind of, you know, any additional TLC that's provided to a patient helps promote healing and a better outcome. Um, they, um, we just, our whole body reacts to it. Everybody, you know, you get fed from it. Everybody gets a little something extra. And really, unfortunately, our healthcare system is functioning at a access now that isn't necessarily available. Everybody is overworked and understaffed. And so all of those TLC measures that are so vitally important to healing and recovery are getting, you know, put to the wayside because nobody has time for it, you know.
Well, and no one's willing to get near anyone else because they don't want to.
Right now, all of it is hands off, and it's you know, only what you have to do. So, you know, I will share a couple of things about the reflections on hands. Is, you know, as a nurse, I have been blessed abundantly to tend to all kinds of people in all kinds of need. Some very, very, very difficult, really excruciatingly difficult and challenging situations. And often you don't know the impact or the power of what you're doing for the patient for any number of reasons. And so, but those moments that you do are overwhelmingly rewarding. And I have a couple of quick reflections on that. First off, I have been blessed abundantly as a nurse to hold the hand of brand new newborns, absolutely just right out and welcome to the world. And there's, you know, that in my own children, that is a remarkable and extraordinary. And I also have held the hand of a 107-year-old woman who I cared for, so that's the oldest patient I have ever had the privilege of caring for. She was a love. She was blind and really almost deaf, but at that point, but she physically responded and lit up when I would touch her. And she was a lovely older Swedish woman. And she had, oh my gosh, 107, and she had skin like a, you know, 40-year-old. She was stunning. And I would go in to take her vitals at the start of my shift and to assess her. And as I would lean over her to do that, and I position myself, she would reach up and she would just stroke the side of my face with her fingers, just really gently. And I can still feel it. She would just really gently stroke that. And so after I would do what I would need to do, I would stroke her and the side of her face and then down her arm into her hand. And I had another nurse say to me, walking past the room one day, when I came out, she was like, you know, why do you bother with that? She can't see you and she can't hear you when you're talking to her. And I said, you bother with your patients the way you want, and I'll bother with mine. But I said, because I know I can feel her physical energy change and shift. Yeah. And if she's, and well, the big thing was, she's like, why do you let her touch you? And I'm like, what? Well, when she reaches up, and I'm like, because it's vitally important that she knows she can touch another human being. Yes, and so I've always carried that with me, and really that I am a nurse of 35 plus years, and that experience is probably 30 years old. So I have held it dear for many, many years. And then two other more challenging, and I'll just be brief on this, but I had a young boy that I cared for a couple of years, and he has a very, very, very rare, extremely rare skin disorder. And any kind of self friction or movement against his skin blisters him. And so literally the poor little guy, I met him he was 5, was blistered and bandaged from his shoulders on down. And he had other blisters that would appear, but the ones that were the most problematic were anything under his clothing. But if you brushed against him, if he touched anything, his skin would just fill. And I'd have to tend to those blisters, gut wrenching, because, it was necessary for him to have the care, but it was also inflicting pain on him to deliver the care. It was necessary for him to heal. But the mindfulness of how intricate that was and how necessary and gentle, and what a trooper, what an absolute trooper he was. But yeah, so as a nurse, I've been blessed abundantly to utilize my hands in a number of ways and serve people. And then like that, just, the mindfulness of all the places that a gentle touch is needed and a difference that you make. I mean, I pay attention when I wash dishes. I pay attention when I'm cooking it. I pay attention when I'm doing laundry, and know that my hands are contributing to something, other than just a task. They're contributing to feeding people and, tending to their needs. So, yeah. Anyhow, does anybody else want to unmute and share anything? I think that I love people. I love stories. I love people and sharing stories. I love knowing that we are connected by stories, and that people can gain something and share something by a story. But I also know that a lot of people are private, and so I'm never intrusive on having people outwardly share if they don't want to. I just ask that that maybe you spend some reflective time and are mindful, and do some self-appreciation of the work, the toils of your hands and the work that you have done. And just thank them, thank them for, gosh, thank you, like even shoveling. I'm grateful that I can shovel. I'm grateful that I can button my coat. I'm grateful that I can pull my boots on. I mean, hands are vitally important. And I think that, we need to just pay attention. And yeah, so I don't know if anybody has any questions either, but I'm willing to answer if anybody has anything they want, So.
I do have a question. So I think you had mentioned it's best to put the lotion on your hands when they're still a little bit wet. And yes. I had heard that from a doctor, to put lotion on while your skin is still a little bit wet, because it helps to keep the moisture in. Is that what you're saying too?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it is. It helps trap a little bit of the moisture, and then we reabsorb that. So it is a good time to do that.
Great.
So, yeah. I just think, and I will say, I mean, there are often times that my hands are just there. It's so excruciating to bend them, or, because everything just cracks from them being so dry. So, some of that has been shifted with a lot of things being remote now. I'm not bedside nursing at the moment, and doing all of the tasks that I have to wash, all the patient contact that I have to wash my hands so aggressively for. So they're not quite, this is really remarkable. They're not cracked like they normally would. And it feels so much better not to have that, so
Yeah.
when I am in those situations, I really work to kind of prevent it, and those, I do, and I guess, I missed this little piece too, I'm sorry, but after we moisturized, if everybody just put their little sock on or whatever, but even just at night, I often just like slather the cream on as thick as I can and then pull on. I actually prefer the cotton socks to there are, hand moisturizing gloves that you can purchase, but a good old pair of white cotton socks work just as well. And I prefer that mitten-like feel to have it all gooped on and soaking up. So if, you just want to, if you don't already practice that or do that, if tonight you want to throw some good cream on and put some socks or gloves on, see if your hands don't feel a little better tomorrow. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
My hands feel wonderful. It's the first time, and I don't know when, that they haven't felt so dry.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Oh,
mine
I'm so
too.
happy. Yeah. Yeah. See, it's, I believe in simple practices that help improve things. Somewhere in the 80s, we kind of shifted to a lot of focus on perfection and people being able to do everything at a extraordinary level and da 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 da, and it kind of ran off the tracks from there. And personally, I have a much stronger belief in practice makes progress. Perfection is overrated. It's unattainable. It's not necessary unless you're a surgeon. Then you better be perfecting your craft. But I mean, for most of what most of us do during the day, just mindful awareness and making some progress to whatever it is you feel you need to improve on, but feeling just a little bit better at practicing something is important. And so I'm happy to hear that your hands don't feel quite as dry and that they feel, and if you practice this regularly, they're going to continue to feel that way. And really, it's with all things. If we've got something that's bothering us, if our hands are really tight and dry, we kind of feel that throughout our bodies. It's not just our hands that are tight and dry. That's the initial point of it, but it moves up to our elbows might feel a little tight and our shoulders might feel a little tight and we're a little tense. And so if we can resolve a little bit of that, then we feel better in general. And I think, with the focus of improved well-being, which is, important to all of us, that simple practices and measures are really important. So